How about it, boys? How about it? The Philadelphia Flyers season starts tomorrow in Prague at 2 o'clock. What? Yes, that is right. And I'll be honest, I'm not feeling so great. At one point I was. About a month or so ago, we got some young stars coming. Alain Vigneault, Carter, Hart. Like, listen, I'm not going to say we're this horrendous hockey team, but I saw what I saw in the preseason, and it put a little bit of a damper on my day. It's not football preseason where you have fifth stringers, practice squad players out there. No. We had our top guys playing a lot of minutes because Alain Vigneault was trying to implement a new system. They didn't look so great. They looked lost. They looked all over the place. Now, I get it. You have a whole entire new system coming into play. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to take on. I just expected a little bit more out of the preseason than what I saw. And listen, I get it. It's just preseason. But it did make my mindset go in a different direction and put a little bit of maybe reality in my mind before the season even began. Now, before I begin, take my free money. Use the promo code BROADS for $20 off of your SeatGeek's total purchase. Buy some tickets today. Get yourself to a game. Okay, so I think the Flyers are going to start out slow. Listen, all this travel, you're overseas, then you come home, then you go to the West Coast trip. It's a lot of travel just like this. You're flipping through time zones and whatnot. It's going to be a slow start for this Philadelphia Flyers squad. I am interested. I am intrigued. I did mention Carter Hart. That's something we haven't had as an organization in forever, it seems. A goaltender, right? A very good goaltender. But at the same time, keep in mind, this kid is so young still. And yeah, he had splashes of success last year, but there were also growing pains. And there are still going to be growing pains in this year. Don't just think he's going to come in and be a Jonathan Quick, all right? He's not going to be a Binnington, bang, right off the jump. He's going to have moments. He's going to have failure. And that's fine for a 21-year-old goaltender at this point who's going to be the leader of your team between the pipes. You got to expect that. So I'm super intrigued by Carter Hart. I think there's going to be some growing pains involved, but he does have a great future, and everything I've seen through his good times is very promising because he has put that on display as well. I like Alain Vigneault. I like the addition of Kevin Hayes, even though the contract we talked about a little hefty, but as a player, he's very good, okay? And it adds a layer of depth in that center position. But here's the problem. Now, Nolan Patrick is hurt, and he's dealing with a migraine injury, which is concerning. I mean, listen, take hockey away from it. You're battling through migraines every single day. That's a scary thing to think about. So Nolan Patrick will not be there. That affects the depth that we thought we had. Nolan Patrick as your third-line center, you're in business. Well, now it's Scott Laughton, and I'm done with the Scott Laughtons of the world. I've been saying that from this Flyers organization for so long. I'm okay with Claude Giroux, Travis Konechny, Kevin Hayes, JVR, Voracek, right? To an extent, Voracek, even though he's been a little underwhelming and he's been booed here in Philly, let's just say that. I'm okay with those guys. I'm sick and tired of these fourth-line, third-line guys like Scott Laughton. I am. I'm just done with it. That's how I feel. But now he's your third-line center, and I don't know. I guess I felt a little bit better about this team a couple weeks ago and a month ago, but at the same time, I still demand playoffs. Like, they should be good enough to be in the playoffs. They added depth to their defense with Justin Braun and Matt Niskanen. Provorov to the big deal, but he sucked last year. He needs to have a complete 180 in terms of how he plays. Shane Gostisbehere, same thing. We were talking about trading him all offseason long. He needs to bounce back. Like, we need to expect these players to just bounce back. I got to see it, right? I mean, like, I have to see it. I can't just sit here and say, well, that's definitely going to happen. Prove it to me. Prove it to me. So, we have cat problems right now during this video recording. Something I said about Chuck Fletcher before he even started making moves, and once he was signed, is he's bad with cap. We have 11 forwards and 7D right now. I don't think that's something Alain Vigneault wants to do. There's going to be a lot of moving parts right now because everything isn't set in stone. So I will expect someone like Joel Farabee to be back up with the big team. Like I almost demanded, because the kid has been a stud. The kid has been special, and he's proved himself, and he deserves to be on that roster opening day. We have pieces and younger players that I am definitely interested to see how they play. Joel Farabee is definitely one of them, and he deserves to be on the team. But Twarynski had a fantastic camp, and Butterman, he's another one. Now, in when I look at their point totals and how they played last year, nothing splashes at me. They didn't tear up the American League. They didn't tear up the AHL. But Alain Vigneault was going with them. And I'm okay with adding some young guys. Like, we need to do that. That's something the Flyers haven't done in years. We've always been getting those veteran fourth line guys. Like, I'm ready to start seeing the new wave of players. They're not afraid to put these young players in a big role, a bigger role than playing in the American League. Here's what it looks like when it comes to our forwards. Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, Travis Konechny. Big fan. JVR, Kevin Hayes, Voracek. Big fan. Then you got Lindblom, who, it doesn't move the needle for me. Scott Lawton and Twerinski. And like I said, because we only have 11 forwards right now, there's no fourth line center, and you got the young kid on the left with Michael Raffle on the right. And then your D-man, Niskanen, Braun, Provorov, Ghost, Sanheim, Morin, and who am I missing? Robert Haig. I hate to be a little damp here. Like I said, I was super pumped and super stoked for this Flyer season, and I am. I'm excited to see hockey back. I was staying up late last night watching Edmonton and Vancouver and Vegas and San Jose, which has turned into this big, insane rivalry. I watched St. Louis. I watched all 4 hockey games yesterday. I am pumped that hockey is back, but I thought I would be a little bit more pumped up about the Flyers' future and their success. And from what I've seen through their brutal preseason, it reminded me of last year. It reminded me of last season, leaving guys wide open in the high slot and getting torched and playing bad hockey. It's almost as if already they're holding the stick a little too tightly because they know that there's a little bit of praise towards them this year. Oh, look what Philly did. Look at the moves Philly did, and look how they played last year, and now they have a new head coach, and Chuck Fletcher's not playing games. It's almost as if the pressure got to them in the preseason, and I'm just hoping. I'm hoping and I'm praying that doesn't affect the start of the season. But like I said, the travel is going to affect the start of the season. Absolutely. You can't just take that away. Like, that's a big-time issue. Going overseas, coming to Philly, going to West Coast. Your body's all over the place, but they're going to have to make it work. You got to adjust. There's no excuses. See, if I did this video a month ago, you would have seen me all fired up. Let's go. I can't wait. The Flyers are going to be great. Oh. I don't feel that way right now, but at the same time, like, they should be good enough to make playoffs. I mean, even if it's an 8th seed, a 7th seed, I know they changed how the seeding works and whatnot in terms of playoffs, but if they're in that last wild card spot or the first wild card spot, in hockey, it doesn't matter. Get the hell in. It doesn't matter. This is the sport where it actually does not matter. You can win the cup as an 8th seed. You can win the cup as a second wild card team any day of the week, any year. So get in. So I don't care if you're the 1st or the 8th. We watched the Tampa Bay Lightning last year be this dominant force all year long. They lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets in 4 in the first round. Get in. Get in the playoffs. They should have enough to get in the playoffs. It might come down to the stretch. It might come down to the wire late. You know, I think they're going to be a good team, an above average team. They're not going to be this elite, insane, superstar type squad. That's how I see this playing out. But, you know, there are some intriguing pieces. I like the Alain Vigneault hire. I think he stands for hard work, and I've even been watching the Inside the Flyers training camp there that they have on NHL Network. Now, it's only 30 minutes and there's commercials, so it's a 20-minute thing. I wish it was a little longer and went more in depth, but it's still nice to see the inside of it, and I think he stands for, you know, hard work, and I like the way that it looks like he runs his practices, very fast-paced, up-tempo, and then he's trying to implement that new system, so at times, obviously, it slows down, but I like his personality. I like his knowledge of the game. I mean, he's had success in this league. It seems like early in his tenures, that's when he's the best. First 3 years or so, he's very solid. The message runs dry, apparently, in Vancouver and New York. It ran dry at some point, but in the beginning, it is filled with juice, and you have Mike Yeo in there as an assistant coach, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but hey, it's a different role. I'm not a fan of him as a head coach, but if he's an assistant coach, it changes completely, and I believe he's taking over the PK stuff, so Ian LaPerriere's not there anymore, and that was a big-time problem with this team last year, was the penalty kill. It was embarrassing. It was abysmal, so hopefully Mike Yeo can do some work there and help this hockey team. So, listen, this is just where I'm at right now. And yeah, I'm basing some of it off of preseason because veterans played. A lot of your top dogs played, and they looked bad. They looked real bad. Keep in mind, They're wiping out everything that they've learned over the last 3 years with Dave Haxtell, 4 years with Dave Haxtell, however long it was, and woo, was that a miserable 3-4 years or so. Don't tell me it was even longer than that. I don't even want to think about it. Get Dave Haxtell out of my face. I was watching the Toronto Maple Leafs game yesterday, and they were talking about Mike Babcock, and they were talking about the coaching staff, and they said Dave Haxtell. I was threw up in my mouth. But yeah, we'll see how they come out. I remember last year they beat Vegas early. Everyone was pumped. Everyone was stoked because we thought Vegas was this superstar squad. They came to the realization that Vegas wasn't as good as we originally thought, and the Flyers definitely weren't. Here we are. Morgan Frost, by the way, got sent down. He had an injury problem at the later part of camp, so that affected his status. Just a tough injury at a time where you really can't afford to have that injury. I think he'll be up with the big team this year. It would have been nice to see Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost crack the lineup because then talk about young guns that are really trying to make a push here for the Flyers' future. But I think Morgan Frost will be on this team at some point, whether injuries happen for other guys on the big team or whatever the case may be. But coming off of an injury, even it was a groin injury, nothing major, to gain some professional experience in the American League, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I would have loved for him to make the team, but with the injury, you kind of have your hands tied behind your back. Another guy I know this team likes right now is that Chris Stewart guy. He's an older veteran who played overseas. He had NHL experience, but he's like a goon. He's a fighter. He's a gritty guy. Alain Vigneault was discussing how we don't really have that on this roster. This is someone who can bring that mix to the table, sort of like a Wayne Simmons. And ironically enough, him and Wayne Simmons are best friends. The league isn't that way anymore. I'm not really opposed to it, but the league isn't that way anymore. Like, you need young, fast players. That's how good teams in this league win. You can roll four. Young, speed. You know, then everyone throws out, well, look at Tom Wilson. Sure, you're naming one guy, and Chris Stewart isn't Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson scored, 20 goals last year? It's different. And there's another fourth liner that got injured who I think will be okay, but he can't stay healthy ever, is that Pitlick guy. We got him from Dallas. When he's healthy, he can score goals in that role. Like, it's crazy. For that role, for the limited minutes, he has success putting the puck in the net. The problem is the dude is never healthy, ever. So, let me know your thoughts down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.